Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Chat with Kat. I am so excited today because I have an incredible guest, Elizabeth Resnick, with me. She's a visionary, a thought leader, and she's on her way to Maxim Cover Girl winner and an advocate for loving yourself and your body at any age. So, welcome, Elizabeth.
Well, thank you, Kat. I am so happy to be here and to chat with Kat for the rest of the world to hear instead of just the two of us chatting as we've done.
Right? I know it's been so fun getting to know you, and we actually haven't met in person. We met
No,
online, and that's the power
yes,
of social media, you guys, is you find the right connections and the right people.
you absolutely do. And I mean, I think social media gets such a bad rap, but like anything else, it it's good or bad just depending on the energy you put into it. So you choose in your real life who you get to surround yourself with, and it's the same thing on social media. Like unfollow accounts that aren't lifting you up, and you'll just start to find that I just feel like we're naturally kind of drawn to the right people.
Absolutely. I did that a couple years ago, is that anything that wasn't resonating with me, I just unfollowed. And man,
Mhm.
now I just feel like my whole feed is like telling me to go after my dreams and create the life I want.
Yeah, that's exactly the same here, and it's just like we literally get to create, we get to curate our life, we get to curate our social media, like all of this we get to decide. We don't just have to be mindlessly fed things.
Yes, it's so true. And in talking before, I know that you had mentioned a dopamine hit and to use your energy elsewhere. So let's start there.
Sure. So I think I think what you're referring to is how with social media and with life in general, a rule that I have for myself is to connect before I consume. And what I mean by that is I connect with myself
Hmm.
before I start consuming social media, texts, emails, God forbid the news, anything like that. Like you fill yourself up first. And then it's the same thing. And then you don't have that same anxiousness with all this stuff. And same thing with before bed. For me, it's very intentional that when I go upstairs to go to bed, I put my phone in a charger and it's in my bathroom. So it's like I don't bring my phone to bed with me. I used to. And it's like it's this hit of like the blue light interferes with your melatonin production. So that's going to mess with our sleep. But I think even more so, it's that scrolling, that stimulation. So I've really learned to manage my relationship, with my phone, with social media,
Yeah.
kind of regulate my nervous system. And, as you mentioned, Maxim Cover Girl, I'm running for Maxim Cover Girl for the third time at the age of 58 because I believe in this message that it's time to tell a new story about aging. And the first time that I ran in 2020, I mean, I've learned and grown and expanded with each time. This is my year, so I'm claiming this.
Yes.
This isn't airing until Monday, but I'm telling you right now, Kat, as we're recording this. So today is Wednesday the 19th. On Thursday the 20th at 9 p.m. Eastern, the semifinals go like end. It goes into the finals, and I'm telling you that I'll be moving forward into the quarterfinals is where I am right now. I'm telling you that I'll be moving into the semifinals. So, but while I'm doing this, I am actively campaigning, actively reaching out to people, actively asking people individually to vote, actively creating content on social media. And you know what I'm not doing? I'm not checking my standings. I'm not going to my Maxim link. Um, I'm not looking at where I stand because I know where
Yeah.
I'm going. And looking at that I've never once in the 3 years that I've done this, 2020, 2024, and this year, I don't look at the competition because I'm my own competition.
Yes.
So I'm not going to go get that dopamine hit of, yay, I'm still in first place because I know that I'm first place. But also, if I do dip, that, like I'm not I don't have time for those feelings. It's not about not feeling the feelings because believe me, I feel my feelings.
Yes.
And I was in my feelings last week. I dealt with something personal that was just made me feel sad. And I don't, we all get that. And I was genuinely sad, genuinely feeling a loss. And I could hold that sadness and and I didn't stuff it, I didn't sweep it under the rug.
Yeah.
I honored it, and I still showed up for myself and did the things that I had intended to do. So, and then that gives you, it just, you're not, I felt the feelings. I'm still feeling some of them, but you're not stuck in that process. You're actually moving your energy through better.
Yeah, and that's such a great thing to touch on as well, because when things come up and challenges come up and it feels like we're getting taken off course, it can
Hmm.
be so easy to sink our own ship.
Yes. Yes.
But by you just saying that, it's creating that awareness around that our life doesn't have to stop because we face things that are tough, challenging, sad, defeating, discouraging. You can keep going and acknowledge how you feel.
Right. Exactly. In fact, what's been so interesting as I've worked with men and women, it's mostly women over the years, helping them lose weight, regain their health. Um, I think the reason so many people have failed in the past is because they had this program that they were on that didn't allow for much deviation.
Mhm.
And so when life, like, especially if it's like some really rigid meal plan or something, and then when life comes up and they can't follow it 100% to the T, they feel that they failed, and then just they go off it entirely. Or instead, if you have more of a template of how you're living your life and these actions that you're committed to, um, you're able to, these things come up, and instead of, like, it might feel like an obstacle, but it's just an opportunity for you to show yourself how strong you are and that you can feel the feelings, deal with the things that are going on, and show up for yourself. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but it's those days where it's harder to work out, or where you didn't want to go to the gym, or you didn't
Yeah.
want to eat the right things, and you do it. I feel like those are the days that actually count the most.
1,000%. I love that you touched on that because it is the days that aren't going well that prove your value, your worth, your strength, your determination. They show you how strong you are to get through anything in your life because if you look back at all the days that were tough, you made it through them.
Right.
But
Right.
we're often taught it's one or the other. You have to decide you're either having this or you're having this. And it's not true.
Hmm. Yeah.
Health is about a lifestyle, and that's what I love about what you share is it you can be happy and healthy at any age. So let's touch more on that and why you're so
Absolutely.
passionate about that message.
Well, I think because I've always been interested in fitness and nutrition. But when I was younger, like starting in my teens, it was really about looking good, being thin. That's what I mean. I grew up I was born in 1966. Like, it was about being thin. And it was about the aesthetics. And don't get me wrong, I love the aesthetics. I love to look good,
Hmm.
because the way we look affects how we feel. But at the end of the day, the older I get, the more passionate I am that when you look good, you feel good. That when you feel strong in your body, when you build this muscle, and it's these small actions. I would say it's the small actions done consistently that compound over time to yield amazing results. Like, it literally changes the trajectory of your life. You I talk a lot about this, get a lot of comments about my abs, like, which I'm always just showing them off. I'm really proud of my abs. I had two big babies, both born via C-section. I gained 53 pounds with my first pregnancy. I dealt
Wow.
with all types of bloating and digestive things. I had a diastasis recti. So, like, and I have not had a tummy tuck. Not that there's anything wrong with the tummy tuck, but, like, I've had nothing done nothing cosmetically done to my belly. I had two C-sections. I have a scar. Um, so like, I've built this strong core of muscle, but that's given me a strong core for life. Like, when
Yeah.
you see yourself doing that and building up the strength over time and seeing those results, it just ripples out to everything else you do. When I wake up in the morning, I literally, like, feel my core, like, I'm aware of my core, and I'm like, wow, like, this helps my balance. Like, this is functional fitness. It looks good. It's also functional fitness, but it's also that literal core strength that you feel like you can just go into a situation and handle it. It's
Yeah.
strong and flexible, which is the way we need to be. Because if you're strong and so, like, stuck in your ways, you're brittle, you're going to break if you don't get your way. But this is more about having that flexibility to just sometimes roll with the punches a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so important to build that strength at any time in your life. Most people think because they're told like, oh, once you're over a certain age, you can't do it anymore. That is so not true. And
Absolutely. I mean, I can honestly say that at 58, and I'm now 5 years postmenopause, I can tell you that I'm in the best shape of my life, like physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, like all of the things. There might have been times where maybe I had a little more muscle on me or something, but where I was not in it, like I'm in a good place across the board, but I feel amazing about my level of fitness. Like it's functional fitness. I can do things, I can have fun, I can do the challenging hikes, I can live my life. I'm not worried about being able to keep up.
absolutely. I think that's really important because when it's not just about your body and how you look, it's how you feel
Mhm.
about yourself, it's how you see yourself, it's about your belief in yourself. And all of that affects every area of your life. And it's about having a well-rounded lifestyle, mind, body, and soul, not just having a nice body. Because people can do a
Absolutely.
lot of harmful things just to have a nice body.
Oh, yes. And I've seen that, first of all, as far as like the emotional, the self love, all of that stuff, I have, I'm not naming any names here, but like two personal trainers that I've known personally in the past and worked with when I was younger, um, that look beautiful physically. They have these beautiful bodies, but they're really not happy with their bodies. They're extremely critical of their bodies and kind of micromanaging everything. And it doesn't look to me like a that's a tough way to live. And I mean, we're all hard on ourselves sometimes, but I'm just saying there are people that look amazing physically and get have the most beautiful like physique, but it's a really a struggle to stay there. And it's about not just showing up, it's about like deprivation and like that's not sustainable. So I'm really about what's sustainable, what works in real life. That's why I say you can love your body and your life. Like you get to have both.
Yeah, absolutely. And what made you go on this journey to advocate for loving your body and loving your life?
Well, it's again I've always had this interest, and in my I was without throwing anybody under the bus or throwing shade. I mean, it's all like
Love.
I was in an unhealthy relationship for over 25 years, and I really did fit a box, a mold to just look and behave a certain way and look pretty,
Yeah.
but be pretty, but be quiet. Like, don't say too much. Don't show up too big, too loud. And I had this idea while I was still in this relationship about I wanted to create a blog, a health blog. So just to share, I found that I was really inspired by bloggers because I've always enjoyed getting information, but you read a book and it's kind of just like dry and on paper. But as I was getting to know like different bloggers, which then led to social media, and I got to know their personality, it was like kind of like talking to a friend and being inspired by a friend instead of just like reading information. So I thought I'd like to do a health blog, and um, I wanted to, let's just say I didn't get a lot of support. So I didn't have any, this is without again going into the details. I did not have my own money. Um, but I did have an IRA from a former employer, a 401k that I rolled over to an IRA that had a little bit of money that had grown. So I cashed that out. I bought a laptop and I enrolled in my first health coaching certification on IINs. This is when I was still in the relationship. Started this blog. Um,
Nice.
Ended up leaving the relationship 9 years ago today, actually 9 years ago today.
Oh,
So
wow.
it was a big, scary leap. It was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. We've both done so much healing. Um, but first of all, sometimes you think you make that big bold move and everything's gonna be rainbows and butterflies, but like we need to
Hmm.
change who we are. So there were a lot of tough years, but I would say my health and wellness routines were kind of what kept me going, and having this blog and then turning to social media and sharing things. First of all, it held me accountable because suddenly I had this very small, but I had an audience. And really, it was showing up for myself with the health stuff. And then the mindset stuff, I started sharing more and more. that was that like kind of that thing that gave me stability as I was going through this really difficult phase of my life. And I also started to recognize that while most people come to me, it's really weight loss is why they come to me.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Like that's great because absolutely when you if you have weight to lose and you lose that weight, it's literally like you are lighter, not just in your body, you're lighter in your spirit, everything. Um,
Yeah.
but I just started realizing that my message was bigger than the weight loss and the health and getting your steps in. It was really about just loving your life, that this stuff gets to be fun, that there's joy in the journey. Because as you and I talked about, there really is no destination. Everything's, I've got to lose the 10 pounds, the 25 pounds. Like, that's great. But you're going to keep growing and expanding. And how can you find joy on the way? Um, and what I found with every single person that I've worked with is that as they're on this journey to reach this goal that they've initially established with me, that is typically around a number on the scale, but we turn
Yeah.
it more into a feeling and what is that going to look like in your life, that all these other things in their life improve, like relationships improve, they have more
Yeah.
energy. You know, maybe some people don't like it because they're a little threatened by somebody who's really shining, but you know, they see improved relationships. I've seen major career advancements. um just people starting to date and having amazing relationships who said they were never going to date again. Like I've seen
Aw.
so many amazing things, like changes happen. There's one woman, she lost 35 pounds and she was just great. Like she just like one of those people that kind of you give her like, okay, get started doing this, and she was like done, like boom, like she was just on it. But she was so dedicated. But what was so amazing is then she started feeling different. People at work started noticing that she was like dressing a little differently. And then she became more confident. And then she got this promotion where she really like in her early 60s suddenly
Oh,
loved her
wow.
job instead of just going to work. And then she's dating again. And then she meets this amazing man. And the next thing you know, they're traveling to Italy together. And I was like, you go. But that's how like that's what happens. I'm not guaranteeing you a trip to Italy, but like I am saying that to anybody listening, when you start taking charge of your health in a holistic way, in a way where you're feeling good, like body, mind, spirit, like it just ripples out and everything in your life starts to up level.
1,000%. You literally gave me full body chills once you mentioned the trip to Italy. So maybe that's something I need to explore on my own. How can
It
I
might
get to
be,
Italy?
well, and I'll tell you a funny story about traveling. Because also I really believe in, you know, being true to ourselves, raising our standards. I've never told this story before, but I'm just going to tell it to you. So, um, several years ago, I was really on this dating journey and meeting some lovely, lovely people, and but knowing that they, you know, being true to myself, like knowing that I need to be true to myself. So there was this man, really lovely, that I met, and he talked about all these things, including wanting to take me to Paris every year. And Kat, I've always wanted to go to Paris. And this
Mhm.
man was, and I mean, he still is. I bumped into him at Costco like a couple months ago. He's a lovely man. But I knew that as many amazing things as he had to offer, I know that this is not my my person. You know, as much as he does have a lot of things to offer. So, you know, I told him down there, you know, it's been lovely getting to know you. This just is, you know, did all the things. I always like to not burn any bridges and really be gracious with everything. And because I was like, okay, I want to go to Paris. Like, this isn't, I would never compromise myself, you know, or make a decision just that's self serving. Anyway, long
Mhm.
story short, last month I went to Paris with my daughter and we had the best time ever. And it was a trip that just was magical and just kind of landed in my lap. Like, I mean, literally decided in early December, and by mid-January we were in Paris. So
Oh,
you can go to Paris, you can do the thing, like whatever it is, like those things will happen for you. They can happen for you, but you have to become the person that's ready for them, that can hold them.
oh, that's so perfect because my next thing is I wanted to you to talk on the energy behind shifting your reality because we did touch on that before about
Yeah.
how once you shifted your energy, you notice your social media went from 16 to 50,000.
And then a
Just
hundred.
yeah,
Yeah,
just from getting out of your ego. And I think so many people need to hear that message.
absolutely. So, well, I'll tell the story. And so I have been showing up on social media for over 9 years now. And I literally show up every day. I show up every day on video. I'm so passionate about my message. So it was about 8 years, it was the 8 year anniversary of starting my brand, Happy, Healthy, and Hot, which officially was November 2nd, 2015, that I published my first blog post. So it was the 8 year anniversary. And I was on my sofa with my dog, who's right next to me now, just sobbing
Listen.
because and Tyson's right here. He's napping, as always. But I was proud of what I had done, but also frustrated that it wasn't reaching more people. I wasn't where I thought I
Mhm.
would be. But we're gonna backtrack a little bit. So that would have been late 2023. So in 2020, the first time that I ran for Maxim Cover Girl, each time I've done it, it's been like literally a spiritual awakening. I became aware of some resentments that I held. It was kind of like after it was over, and some resentments that I held towards some people. Like I knew there were some people, that I had some, and I dealt with it. And I thought, and then some new things cropped up. So I became aware of it, and it was kind of like a group of people who had been in my life, and I was aware of one in particular that I really felt a little hurt by, and I was hanging on to this a little bit. So I was aware that I don't know how much detail I went to the story with you, Kat, but I'm just going to give everybody all the details without naming any
Yeah.
names. So
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
aware that this person, he was a friend, and I wouldn't say we weren't friends, but we weren't communicating at all anymore. If I ran into her, we would say hello. But um, I noticed that so I send a weekly email out to my list. I haven't actually the last 2 weeks, but every Sunday night at 8 p.m. And an hour later, I get a report from my email provider saying, like, how many people open it up in the first hour. And you could look at this report and see who's opened it up. And like, I never
Right.
really thought that was important, but then I started looking because I thought, well, this will be interesting to see, like, who are the people who are the most interested in, like, these people are opening up my email right away.
Yeah.
Well, I saw that this person who didn't talk to me, who didn't return some texts, was always opening my email in that first hour. And that was like a few months before this November where I'm sobbing on the sofa. And I will tell you, Kat, I was a bit triggered by it. I was like, this activated something in me. I was a little like, well, why does she care? Like, she's not talking to me. I know she's not truly interested in my content. Like, it's really not a true fit. So I sat with this for a while, and I
Mhm.
realized, okay, I could remove her from my email list. Like, that's easy enough. But I decided, no, I'm going to sit with this. I'm not going to look at this report for a while because this bothers me. So let me just sit with this and process it. I sat with it for maybe a month or two. And I decided that I was ready to look again. And I saw that, oh, indeed, she was still one of the first people to open, always opening my email in the first hour that it was sent on a Monday night. And instead of being angry, and so were some other people that it was a similar situation.
Right.
And instead of, I turned my resentment, my into, they can't take their eyes off of me. They can't
Boom.
take their eyes off of me. I am shining so brightly. They can't take their eyes off of me. I just turned into this, and it turned into, I'm shining like fireworks. They can't take their eyes off of me. I'm shining like fireworks, that's a lyric from a Taylor Swift song, Dear John, which like really spoke to me. So they can't take their eyes off of me, shining like fireworks. And this felt so good to me. I just said it every day. I'd say when I was in the shower, it was just in my head, they can't take their eyes off of me. And then I started getting some hate on Facebook, which isn't really my big platform, although it has grown. And I realized that it was because they can't take their eyes off of me. They can't take their eyes off of me. So in some cases, I'm activating something in them. They're maybe I make them a little angry because I'm confident, but they can't take their eyes off of me. So I just started using that more and more and really owning that and stepping into that. And so that November 2nd, 2023, when I was crying on my sofa, I had 16,000 followers and some change on Instagram. But I started showing up a little differently. I started really just my energy. I don't even know if I showed up differently. My energy was different. I really started owning that they can't take their eyes off of me.
Love
And
it.
then I hit 17,000 and I was like, oh my gosh, like if I really, really work at this, what if I could hit 20K? Well, by January 2nd, I was at 50K. I went from 16 something to 50K in 2 months, exactly 2 months. And then it kind of kept going, kind of leveled out around 60. I was like, cool, like I'm happy with this.
Yeah.
And then a couple other things just kind of took off. And next thing you know, I was at 100 by that was 11/11, November 11th. So just over a year later, I was, 16,000, 200,000. Like you can't make this up. I was showing up for 8 years, sometimes to crickets, but like I believe in my message.
Yeah.
Um, so there, that was energetics. And yes, I had some things go viral. Absolutely. But like what was so interesting too is the things that went viral were the things that I spent the least time on and the things that I
Yeah.
almost was like, don't even post this, it's so silly, or like, oh, I don't know. I just get those were the things that went viral. So and then led to, other when you have a post that truly goes viral. And I now have one with like 9.6 million views.
Oh,
Like that
wow.
gets eyes on all of your stuff. So everything, and that's, yeah, you're going to get some hate. Absolutely. Because when something is going viral, it's going out to a much larger audience. So it's not just your audience who likes you, but it's
Yeah.
also getting you new followers who are drawn in and value your message. So, I would just say also to anybody, like, it's fun when things go viral, but be prepared because the things that I've had that have gone truly viral have gotten the most hate, and I'm telling you some vicious stuff. So being able to sit and hold that with love, with knowing that it's a reflection, like somebody who can spew that stuff, it's a
Yeah.
reflection on them. But you have to be able to hold that because that's
Yeah.
going to come with it.
Exactly. Exactly. And in just closing up for today, because
Yeah,
I feel like we got a lot of juicy stuff in here for everybody
good.
getting to know you, I want to
Yes.
know what your vision is for the future.
I see winning Maxim Cover Girl, being on the
Yes.
cover of Maxim magazine, Elizabeth Resnick, this is 58, no filters. Knowing that that is simply a springboard for bigger and better things. So I see myself as a thought leader, as a, really, there's a paradigm shift going on already, that mature women are being seen in a different light than we have been for eternity. Um, I feel like and I feel like like I never started doing this because I was looking at what somebody else was doing. I really wasn't even aware. People started saying like, "Oh, have you seen what Paulina Porchikova, who was a amazing supermodel? She's like a year older than me. She's really open about aging and without, aging, like being honest about the process, but showing up as beautiful and owning it."
Yeah.
There's Kathy Jacobs, who's been in Sports Illustrated several times. She's a year taller than me. Her Instagram is Ages Beauty. When I ran for Maxim Cover Girl the first time, people started telling me about her. And since then, I've actually gotten to know her. She's fabulous. But
Cool.
like, I didn't even know that these women were doing what they were doing. I was just on my own path. And so, like, I've been inspired through all of this, not by some movement that I saw happening, but by just my own vision, my own inspiration. I became inspired by my own potential. And so, like, I used to, like, I still share quotes sometimes if something really has spoken to me, but like, I'm to the point where I realize, like, I create my own thoughts that I want to share. I don't
Yeah.
need to, I absolutely share people that light me up in my stories all the time. And I want to lift, I believe in all of us women and men lifting each other up, that it's this beautiful ripple effect. But I guess what I'm saying is, I'm just on this path where I don't feel like I'm following somebody else's footsteps. I'm just blazing my own trail.
Yeah.
And, I'm using this running for Maxim is just, it lights me up. It sets my soul on fire. So, like, why wouldn't I I do this. And yeah, so that's where I see myself literally on billboards in Times Square. I just put myself in a billboard in Times Square, but I see myself spreading this message any way that I can, definitely on TV, in more magazines, and just here using social media, just this really organic messaging that we get to have. You know, it's one on one. It's the person that you talk to in the grocery store. It's like we get to. It's on all these levels. Like I'm big. I'm bold. I'm a Leo who just like identifies. I'm a Leo with a lot of cancer in my with a lot of water in my chart, but like I identify so much as a Leo, and I'm just like I'm blazing this trail.
I love it. And what's one thing that you hope impacts somebody in hearing your message?
I hope that I will inspire if one person listens to this and decides to go after like that thing. Here's okay to everybody listening.
Yeah.
There's this thing that you're thinking about that you want to do. And it doesn't have to be big, like it doesn't have to be public, but maybe it's the book you want to write. Maybe it's the trip you want to take. But there's this thing that you're thinking about that you keep trying to talk yourself out of because you
Hmm.
think it's not realistic. You know, well, I don't do realistic. Or you think like well, I want to do that, but what would people think? Who cares what people think? They're too busy thinking about themselves. And if what you're
Yeah,
doing is bothering them, well, that's on them. So like that thing that you're thinking about, just do it. Just do it. Don't be scared. Just do it. Do it scared. Do it scared because it's so good on the other side. It's so good.
absolutely. And where can people connect with you?
Best places is on my Instagram, which will link, I'll give you the link. It's happy, healthy, and hot underscore Elizabeth. So all spelled out happy, healthy, and hot underscore Elizabeth. It's a long handle.
Yeah.
But that's the original name. My blog was called Elizabeth Resnick, Holistic Health for Women Who Want to Feel Happy, Healthy, and Hot. And because that's really to me, like, don't we all, I mean, it's mindset, nutrition, and fitness, it's pulling it all together. And I felt silly. I just had my name as my Instagram handle, but I realized that really didn't embody my message. So
Yeah,
I realized like I represent I embody my brand, and that's why I have this crazy long handle. But that is the best place to find me. That is my home. That is where all my content is first. From there, it goes to Facebook. Some things I post on TikTok or X or whatever. But Instagram is my home. It's where I'm most connected. I'm going to see your messages. And that's the very best place to find me.
amazing. Well, I just want to thank you for taking the time to come on the show today. I'm so excited that we're gonna get your message out there even more and inspire more people along the way. And I just want to thank everybody who took the time to listen, who took the time to comment and share this episode with someone you think that would absolutely love it. I will post everything in the caption for you to connect with Elizabeth. And thanks for tuning in to another episode of Chat with Kat.